Hello, Audioholics. This is Logan, and with me is Weiler.
Why is my life the way it is, Lur?
Wait, look, it's Weiler.
That joke is almost as bad as the album we're about to listen to.
Oh, yes, the album we are about to listen to. Do tell what this album is that we are about to listen to.
It's called Interviews by Sonny Bono.
Yes.
I'm looking
All
forward to
right.
this one.
Yes. So this is an album that I have. So he's going into this blind. I'm going
Mostly, yeah.
into this. I'm going into this semi-blind. I've listened to the first track off of the album, actually a little while ago. So there's actually a YouTube channel called Oddity Archive. If you are into like old, obscure, like electronics, technology, even music, they have like a lot of like just audio, video, AV stuff. Check out Oddity Archive. But he did a show, a video on conservative folk music. So most of you who are familiar with the 60s will think of kind of like the hippie era of the 60s, which sort of started in 1965, lasted basically until the end of the Vietnam War. And you had a lot of voices in that era. You had Bob Dylan, Joni Mitchell, Joan Baez, Jimi Hendrix, Jim Morrison, all of those. Black Sabbath was like sort of born out of that era. You know, you don't need me to tell you how impactful the hippie movement was in music. Just, you know, Woodstock. I mean, yeah. So, somebody who was not actually a part of the hippie scene and was more kind of traditional pop act of the time, which those still did chart quite a bit, was Sonny Bono. Now, Sonny Bono obviously was one half of Sonny and Cher. Wrote some songs for the Searchers, including the hit Needles and Pins, worked with Phil Spector. Again, Sonny and Cher had I Got You, Babe, which reached number one, as well as 7 other top 10 hits. And they eventually had a variety show, the Sonny and Cher show. They divorced. Sonny Bono became the mayor of Palm Springs, California, and eventually died in 1998. Now, the part that a lot of people don't talk about is Interviews, which was basically Sonny Bono trying to be credible as the world around him changed. Now, yes, these like sort of traditional pop songs charted. They charted the entire time. In fact, they oftentimes charted higher or just as high, if not higher, than a lot of the hippie songs. Like in 1969, Sugar Sugar by the Archies was the number one song of 1969, right at the height of Woodstock, right at the height of the hippie movement. So
Nice.
yeah. So what we basically have here is somebody who's traditionally doing pop trying to do an experimental psychedelic, almost kind of like trying to do like their own Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. In the same year, actually, as Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, 1967.
That hurts.
So you could have bought Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, or you could have bought Interviews.
We know which one is
Bono.
better. We know which one is better. For sure,
Oh,
Interviews
yeah,
is the album to go for.
Obviously.
Who fucking cares about the Beatles? I mean, everybody knows that they suck.
Unfortunately, most people did not actually see the memo, and for some reason they bought the Beatles, I guess. I don't know. Like, I don't know. Maybe they went somewhere after that.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
I haven't heard of
I
them
don't know.
personally. I
You
don't
know,
think they had much influence.
just you know, I think that at least one of the Beatles, just got out of the Beatles, took a huge shot in the dark, and just okay, I'm done.
God, why couldn't we be listening to the Beatles?
Why couldn't we be listening? You know what? Because everybody knows the Beatles. Not many people know of Sonny Bono.
For the longest time, I never listened to the Beatles. I
Yeah,
just
because you were
avoided them
busy
like the
listening to
plague.
Sonny and Cher, obviously.
Obviously. No, I just didn't like the boy band shit that they used to do, and I thought that was all that
Yeah.
they did.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think a lot of people who aren't into the Beatles kind of assume that. You know, there are actually people who hate the Beatles, and some of them do kind of have legitimate reasons, I say. I mean, the Beatles were the first real band I ever listened to.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, yeah, I listened to what is typically called the Blue Album. It's 1967 to 1970, the greatest hits. So that's basically like all throughout like the psychedelic era, like Sgt. Pepper, Magical Mystery Tour, Abbey Road, Let It Be, White Album.
Yeah, for me, I guess it probably would have been Metallica.
Yeah.
Been my first real
Metallica
band.
was pretty early as well. Green Day, Hoobastank.
Hoobastank.
Yeah.
Because they suck.
Yeah.
You agreed.
No, like it's cool to hate on Hoobastank nowadays, I guess, but
I don't know. I didn't think what's it called? Crawling in the Dark. That's the one song I like by them.
yeah, that's a good song. That entire album was actually pretty good. The reason I know a lot of people don't like that one, it's kind of cool to hate on that one now.
Their name is Hoobastank?
Yeah, fuck you.
That is a really fucking stupid name, you gotta admit. I mean, it has no bearing on the music, but damn, is that a dumb name.
Yeah. So,
like Logan.
Yeah. Whoa. Well, my middle name is Paul, so I think we should hang.
Oh, shit. No wonder you like Paul Diano.
Yeah. Logan Paul Diano. Anyway. So one other thing I will say about the album, like I said, it is conservative. Not that you would really know it. So this is very similar. The obvious influence to this album is Bob Dylan. And we will be bringing up, especially I will be bringing up Bob Dylan a lot, because I actually am a pretty big fan of Bob Dylan, and I kind of know how it should compare. So
I don't. I actually don't like Bob Dylan. I don't think he's a brilliant lyricist, and I think
why don't you like Bob Dylan, huh?
Like,
why
I
do you
mean,
like Bob
obviously,
Dylan?
he is a great, great poet, but
Yeah.
his songs I don't think are as well written as his literature. That's just my opinion. I don't personally enjoy folk as a genre to begin with, so that's probably another factor.
So you might actually end up hating this album even more than I do, but
probably. I mean, I don't even like Leonard Cohen or Johnny Cash.
You know what?
Everybody
I can say this. You know, I like folk music, but I realize that it can be really, really bad and cringy.
It can be, but it's not even that. It's just not my style. I don't like the sit-down acoustic thing that they do.
Yeah, well,
it's just not my thing.
Yeah, I get that. It's not for everybody, but, I listened to... It took me a little while to get into Bob Dylan as well. I'm actually not entirely sure when it all clicked. I think I got, a greatest hits, and I kind of started listening to that.
Yeah, I mean, I think some artists... You just have to. They're an acquired taste. You just have to.
Yeah, it's like one of those things where And also, like, I think that, like, Bob Dylan's shit is not all acoustic. You have things like a Rolling Stone, which is mostly electric.
I wouldn't know.
Yeah. Um, and actually, Sonny Bono's album is almost entirely electric.
Interesting.
Um, there's even like some kind of like guitar vamping a la Velvet Underground. So there are definite influences here. It's a shame that he absolutely fucked up the name and legacy of all of them.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, not looking forward to this one.
All right. And one final thing to mention before we get into the album. This album is 33 minutes long, and it is the longest 33 minutes you will ever experience.
Yeah, I can see why.
Yeah.
By the way,
Right.
for anyone who does want to listen to something a lot better than this, check out Year of the Tiger by Miles Kennedy. We're not going to listen to that on the show, but it's way better version of this album than this album.
All right. What do you mean? How?
It's stripped back, it's more acoustic. It's
Okay.
it's one of those albums. I don't know if I would call it a folk album, but if you're looking for that stripped back, sit down guitar sound, that is the album that I would recommend based on my tastes.
So, actually, I guess I should say that like this is a folk album in structure, but like if you're thinking of like blowing in the wind, you know, some hippie chick with like an acoustic guitar sitting on a tree stump, it's not that. It's sort of like, and Bob Dylan was kind of this way around this time as well. He kind of incorporated some Beatles influences of the time. So kind of think of it like Sgt. Pepper, but less pop and more folk.
All right, I think we should just jump into it now unless you want
I
to
think
say
that we
anything else.
should. No, but before we do begin, I would like to say that um, there will be a time code as to where, well, not a time code. There will be a link, rather, as to where you can listen to the album. I will actually have to make the playlist because all of the playlists are either in the wrong order or have extra songs or both. Um, the original 1967 release has 5 songs. We are going to end at we are going to have to end at Panties on a Bummer.
Pammy is on a on a bummer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep,
And
that's what it
actually,
is.
we'll get to the album. I have like some other things to say about this album as we go in.
Yeah, well, I think the first song's 12 minutes. You'll have plenty of time to
Yeah.
talk.
It is a very long 12 minutes, I will assure you. So
We totally have
keep in mind, 12 minutes out of a 33-minute long record.
Gee,
So
Henry.
it's almost half the album.
We should do Lulu at some point.
We will do Lulu at some point. Yes.
I couldn't even get through like the first 3 tracks when I tried to listen to that
Yeah.
on my own.
Yeah.
Talk about the longest 12 minutes of my life.
I have a relatively strong stomach for bad music, but Lulu is unlistenable.
All right, let's get into this.
All right. And for those of you who are listening, I would also like to point out that you probably should use ad block. Even though I think all of these songs might actually be on YouTube. Still, it is going to make the playlist experience a lot easier for you to listen along with us. So, anyways, 5, 4, 3, 2, go. The
Just
first track.
procrastinating as long as we can.
Yep. The first track is called I Just Sit There. One thing I will also mention is that Sonny Bono was actually capable of doing something successful on his own. Obviously, he did not have nearly the success of Cher. Cher had an amazing, depending on an amazingly successful, I should say, solo career.
Holy shit, I just shuddered from this vocal style. It made me shudder.
I just sit there. If you listen to him talk, he talks like that.
He talks like that?
Yes.
Goodbye.
Imagine if you lived in Palm Springs and your mayor was like talking like that.
Hey, Logan, how do I fill my cup?
So I tried to do some research, as you can tell. I am not 100% sure what this song or indeed this album is about.
It has a nice groove to it, I guess.
Yeah, but it just goes nowhere. It's the same exact. It's the same beat. It doesn't like.
Yeah, well,
it doesn't have any major hooks.
Used to repetition, it's me.
Yeah. But it's repetition for 12 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, but half of Black Sabbath's discography is one riff for half the song.
But is it 12 minutes?
No.
And usually, like with Black Sabbath, it's like
it does eventually lead to something.
It does eventually lead to something. There's usually like the
yeah, that's from Black Sabbath.
Yeah.
The song, which literally has 2 riffs in the entire thing, and that's it.
Yeah,
actually,
but at least it leads to something, and at least it's less than 12 minutes long.
Yeah. My God, I want it to end already. It just began.
So I think what this song is about, I think it is about like infidelity and coming of age. So like I think like where it comes from is ring around the rosy, your father's getting nosy, your mother's cooking sturgeon, your sister's still a virgin. I think that is the line that kind of I don't know even. Like that's what I've heard this song is about. But honestly, it's just a random stream of nonsense. Like, he has political views, clearly. I mean, he ran for mayor. As I understand, he was relatively successful at that. But, obviously he has political thoughts. He just has no idea how to convey them.
Listen to your left ear. You hear those? What are those? Trumpets?
I think that's a French horn.
I don't know. Well, I mean, it's got instrumental variety, somewhat.
Yeah, so I think it's like so out of sync as well. Oh, listen to the harmonica. This is the Dylan influence I was telling you about. It gets more obnoxious, by the way, later on. It gets more obnoxious. But the Dylan influence, especially for this, is there's...
Oh, crap. Yawned hardcore there.
There's a lot of Dylan songs where it kind of has that similar like stream of consciousness vibe to it. Folk music in general, a lot of folk music, that structure is sort of telling a story through song, or getting like it's okay for a folk song to be like 5 minutes plus, because like that's just kind of how it's traditionally done, like even like campfire songs. A lot like if you think about like campfire songs, a lot of those are folk songs. In fact, they are all folk songs. That's why they are campfire songs. And you know,
Ah!
those are just streams of consciousness. It's like he's trying to do that, but it just comes off as a stream of drug fueled nonsense, which I don't think he was on drugs, but he could have been. Supposedly, he is very anti drug, and he, at some point, I guess, gets into that. Maybe. I don't know.
Oh my god, this is terrible. This is a terrible harmonica solo.
Exactly. It's so blaring. And just the mix itself is really weird. It's like it's the 60s, so like the mix didn't need to be perfect. And to be fair, it might have been like intentionally bad to some degree. Because like back in the 60s, that kind of helped with authenticity.
It sounds like a wall of sound, which is sometimes a good thing with albums, but I don't know if it is here.
Yeah. I mean, he did work with work with Phil Spector. So, oh, actually, I should point out, I looked on Wikipedia to try and find out like anybody else who might have been like involved in the album that I might know. Um, Sonny Bono was the lead performer and producer, and I did not see anything about like any of the other instruments, so he might have been playing all of those as well.
Really?
So this was a pure Sonny Bono vanity project.
Well, if you give me a second, I'll tell you right now.
Now there was also an executive producer, as well as like a mastering and like that. Like he didn't do everything, obviously, but I think musically speaking, he did just about everything. Now, he was a producer. He did, like I said, he produced The Searchers, and they actually got a charting hit with Needles and Pins. So he knows how to be a producer.
Yeah, so he
Except
did,
for this
from what I
album.
understand, everything.
Yeah. Like, most of what this album is, like, Sonny Bono definitely has talent, and nobody's taking him anything away from that. Or, I mean, like, he's not a good singer, that's well established, but I mean, he definitely landed chart success, especially in the mid 60s. He landed success with launched Cher's solo career, which gained a tremendous amount of success. Um, but it was just he was kind of behind the times, basically, and I guess he dropped out just a little bit too late, I would say. This is
I
just
mean,
noise.
frankly, it's not as bad as you were making it out to be.
I mean, we're only on the first song still.
I know, but based on this song alone, I've heard many, many worse albums.
Would you say you enjoy it?
No.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Eh, if you took away the vocals, I might. Because it's actually kind of a little it sounds like a jam track a little bit if you took away the
Yeah,
vocals.
and I I guess I kind of enjoy this song a little bit on a so bad it's good level.
Yeah, that's what I would say. It's the harmonica solo is terrible, but I like hearing like these. I don't understand why they're only on this side, but I like hearing the different instruments playing over here and like some over here, and I
That's
don't know.
kind of Beatles-esque mix. That's kind of like Martin-esque mixing right there. Like if you listen to a Beatles album with headphones, that's pretty normal to just have like certain instruments in the one channel and other instruments. I mean, stereo was still a new technology at that point, so they were experimenting
Gotcha.
with it.
Either way, it's not a good song, but it isn't as bad as I was expecting.
We're about 3/4 of the way done, Tyler.
With this song.
Yes.
Oh, I'm at 10 minutes.
Oh, oh yeah, then never mind. I am as well. It just looked further, like, not as far along as... Yeah. He's still doing the harmonica.
And it's just as bad as it was last time.
He's still at it.
That just sounds like somebody screaming. Oh!
Ah,
Oh!
screaming in agony at this record. This album did not chart at all. It did not chart in the top 100. So there were 100 albums better than this in 1967.
Or at least more popular.
Yeah. Probably better.
Probably. I would hope so.
This, I think, goes down in history as one of the biggest musical failures of all time. Like, especially if you consider that this was a guy who had chart success already and then just released this. You know what I mean? It's like, this is like if the Beatles released Saint Anger.
At this point, I would say Saint Anger is worse than this album.
I would say so far, I've actually only ever listened to this song, and I don't even think I listened to it all the way through for obvious reasons. But
also, the percussion is actually surprisingly good in this song.
I don't know who does the percussion. I assume Sonny Bono, but I don't have any.
Did you hear the drumming and like different drums that they have throughout the song? That was actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
And this is a really cool ending too. Instrumentally, this song was kind of interesting. I mean, I'm trying to throw it a bone. I'm not saying it's good, but it's definitely a step up from tick, 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 tock.
I guess.
All right, let's see if it goes very downhill.
I have actually not listened to anything after this. So we are on track number 2. I told my girl to go away.
Damn,
I read the news today, oh boy. You know what? I take it back. This is less Bob Dylan and more just Sgt. Pepper. He already referenced I read the news today, oh boy, in the earlier song.
So this is just a breakup song?
I don't know. I think the biggest problem with this album is just the lyrics.
So Sonny walks up to his girlfriend, go away! Today? No! Forever!
Is it weird if I actually kind of like this song? Actually, his vocals are actually not too bad on this song either. See, he's not bad when he's like kind of, toning it down a bit. But even when he's like, he's not a good singer, but he's a passionate singer. You definitely know that he believes whatever the fuck he believes.
What can I do to make you stay? I told my girl to go away.
Well, I mean, we've all had that
song
happen.
is funny as hell.
I don't know. This song kind of has more structure, I would say, at least in the first one.
The instrumentals are just making it funnier to me.
I think this song is probably the better song on this album because, like, it is more of a pop song than a folk song. So it's not out of it's not completely out of lane for Sonny Bono to do
Okay,
something like
but the
this. And that's why it's not as
instrumentals
bad.
on this track sound like something you'd hear in a comedic scene of like a musical or a play or something.
Boom, 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 boom. Oh my god, you know what it sounds like?
What does it sound like?
You ever see that scene in Family Guy where like Stewie's following fat people with a trombone?
Yes, yes.
Bum, 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 bum,
just
bum,
play,
bum, bum, bum.
just play Sonny Boney, Sonny.
Sonny Boner.
Play Sonny
Like, go home, you're
Boner.
drunk.
No, play
Sonny
Sonny
Bono.
Bono. That's just following fat people. Just play it on a boombox.
No! Stop it! Cut it out!
I said stop!
And the funny thing is, Sonny actually had a little bit of success on his own. He had a top 10 single with Laugh at Me.
Oh, God.
Which is on this album, but not originally. It was on the 1999 reissue along with some other
I'm gonna turn this into a nice little acoustic song and sing it to my girlfriend. She's like, "Are you breaking up with
you know
me?"
what?
No, I'm telling you to go away.
You mean ex-girlfriend, if you
Of
play that.
course. Of course.
If you play that shit.
She'd break up with me for playing that terrible ass shit. She wouldn't even listen to the lyrics. She'd just be like, "What the fuck are you singing? Stop."
I'm not even in a relationship with you and I break up with you.
This song is apparently so bad that it won't let me pull it up on Genius. I can't load the lyrics.
We are on I Would Marry You Today. Well, that's the complete opposite. I told my girl to go away. Next track, I would marry you today.
I mean, if he's trying to depict the emotions of a bipolar citizen of the United States and the corrupt system in place of dealing with mental illness in society.
Oh, yeah, that's the political views. That's the inner views, in fact.
Yeah, it's just that deep of an album, guys. It's the Joker of its day.
Now I represent, the typical American person, and I would marry you representing the political system. So it's a typical American citizen falling in love with the political system that is corrupt and has wronged him. See, it's a very deep Rage Against the Machine-esque album, if you really think about it.
Yeah, you know it. Literally, I cannot find lyrics to this song anywhere.
This album is really obscure.
I know, but the first two songs were on Genius.
Really?
Yes. The whole album is on Genius, but only the first two songs have lyrics.
I don't like I said, I went on Wikipedia. It gave like a brief synopsis of the album, basically said like, oh, Sonny Bono released this. That's basically it. Just this album exists.
This is an existing album within
this
the
album
network
does
of
in
music.
fact exist.
Yeah.
And it has a track listing.
Yeah. It's sung by a person, human being.
That person may or may not be alive at some point.
Did you talk about how Sonny Bono died?
I did not, actually. I meant to look that up. He died pretty young, though, at age 62. Something else I would like to point out. When Sonny met Cher. Sonny was 25 years old and Cher was 16.
Sonny
Let
Bono
you
was
know.
killed in a skiing accident.
Oh, shit. Oh, my God. Oh, shit. Now, because Eminem did I hit the trees harder than Sonny Bono. Oh, my God. That is just morbidly obese.
That's pretty good. Yeah,
That
this
reminds
song
me
is
of like
garbage.
that reminds me of like when Crazy Town had that line in their one song about In Excess. I'll leave you hanging like In Excess.
In excess.
Because like the one guy had just killed himself.
Yeah. This song is terrible. It's so bad. It's instrumentally like a Christmas song, like something out
Yeah,
of Rudolph.
right? I don't know. You know what? I'm kind of starting to agree with you though that this album is not as bad as I expected. It's just really misguided, I think, at points.
At like right now, and we're on what, like the second to last song after this?
Oh my god. That is insane. We are almost at the second to last song. In fact, we
We're
are
on it.
yeah. We are now on My Best Friend's Girl is Out of Sight.
Because she's mine. Ha ha! I mean, it sounds like
This
the
is
song
like
of someone who fucked your girlfriend. You know?
this is like total Bob Dylan vocals right here. I feel uptight.
This is terrible vocals.
This is awful. Now this is the level of terrible that I was promised.
So if the album ended like right now, I would give it a 4 out of 10. Below average. That's where I'm leaning.
I don't really know because like it's bad, but I kind of appreciate it in a way.
Yeah,
Like
I mean,
I could.
instrumentally, it's actually
This
much
is an
better than I
album.
expected.
This is an album that I could realistically listen to again.
Yeah, it's not unlistenable. It's better than Puddle of Mud.
Yeah, for what that's worth. I think I would say about a 4 out of 10 as well, because this is not an average album. I'd say it's below average. So
Yeah, I mean, it's
like
definitely not
four
good in
or
some spots.
a 4 or a 4.5, I would say, is what this album probably deserves.
You and your 4.5s, your 7.5s.
I just want to be different, all right? I'm hardcore.
I actually do kind of like this song instrumentally.
Yeah, me too. Like, I was kind of, like, again, I'm going into the semi-blind, so I might have granted, I overhyped how bad this album is. Not that it isn't bad. It is still a very bad album.
Yeah.
But especially the first song. I think that's probably. I wonder if
Funny
like
you say that. I think that might have been my favorite.
I think it's the worst. I think the second song, I told my girl to go away. That's probably my favorite song.
That was just hilarious.
Instrumentally, I don't know. Like, here's what I'm trying to debate: is this a bad album or a so bad it's good album?
It's definitely one of the two.
It's one of the two, but I can't really decide.
I mean, I'm having a lot of fun laughing at it, so
Yeah, I would say I would rate it as a so bad it's good album.
I'd put it in that category.
The lyrics are terrible, though. The lyrics are
am
terrible.
I reading this right? Is this song literally just about like some dude fucking your girl, your best friend fucking your girl?
Hey, Sonny Bono was the ultimate cuck.
Well, actually, I think the song is about him fucking his best friend's girl.
Oh,
Because the song's
so
called "My Best Friend's Girl Is Out of Sight."
maybe Phil Spector's the cuck. Who knows?
Yeah,
That would
maybe.
explain a lot, actually.
I
You
mean,
know,
honestly, he
he
was
had to
married to
overcompensate
Cher,
on that
so
prostitute like 20 years ago. Is it too soon to joke about that?
never.
Yeah.
I mean, Chester Bennington's body wasn't even cold, and I was already making rope jokes.
Yeah.
I roped you right into
Speaking
that. Oh!
Oh. All right, we are on the last song now.
My God,
My
already.
Pammy's on a Pammy's on a what the fuck does that even mean? Pammy's on a bummer.
What the fuck was that opening?
Okay, yeah, if I remember, this is where it gets like super jammy. It's basically just them vamping for 7 minutes. I think if I think if I'm right in saying this is totally an instrumental of just guitar vamping.
I mean, honestly, this whole album should have just been an instrumental album. It would have been so much better.
Yeah. I mean, the
It's
vocals
been a
aren't.
great
You,
background music.
you gotta like put yourself into perspective. Bad vocals were acceptable back in the '60s. Like, I
God,
mean, the
listen
Rolling,
to that fucking percussion.
yeah, but like, you know, the Rolling Stones obviously were huge, and I don't care who you are, Mick Jagger can't sing. Arguably, the Beatles can't sing either.
I haven't decided whether I think that's an electric guitar. I haven't decided whether it's bad or really good. Maybe both.
I think it's an electric guitar too. There's some sitar actually in this album as well. I think and I just sit there.
Yeah, that's what it
Or no,
was
I'm
on
sorry,
the.
not. I'm sorry, no, it's not sitar. It's hurdy-gurdy, I think, as well. They
My
were using a
God,
lot of like kind of like you know Indian guru influences. I mean, like the Beatles popularized that.
I would love to use like some of those interesting
Uh,
instruments in some of my
have you ever?
music, like a sitar, hurdy-gurdy. What's the name of that fucking instrument that's like magnetic?
I don't remember.
You literally just like move your hand around and it plays.
Have you ever heard of a flopatron?
No.
Okay, at the end of this video, I will show you both. I will show the audience what a flopatron is. I think. I think Bohemian Rhapsody exists on flopatron. Yeah, there we go. So what a flopatron basically is, it's somebody who basically jury rigged a whole bunch of floppy disks, a bunch of floppy disk drives together. And there's like
Oh,
special software that you can like use to
I think I know what you're
control
talking about.
the motor inside of a floppy disk drive to where you could have complex things like Bohemian Rhapsody.
This is
I will only
incredibly
play. Oh,
dissonant
there is.
and like honestly, I
Is that?
this might actually be really good.
Yeah, kind of actually. I just don't want to give it any higher than a 4.5 just because I don't want to seem like I'm overhyping how bad this album is. I might
Honestly,
have
like
though.
that
This is
intro
like
was
the
either
most.
amazing or terrible, and I can't decide which, but the
I can't
melodies are actually
either.
pretty
I don't
good.
know.
This album
You know what?
exists in the
I'm gonna
space
have
between
to.
terrible and great.
Yeah, I'm going to have to. I'm gonna have to give this maybe a 6 out of 10, or maybe a five.
Damn.
Maybe a five. Maybe a five. This has
I don't
been the
know.
biggest surprise. This is the biggest surprise I think I've ever witnessed with music. With people just saying it's one of the worst things ever made. And definitely the first song is.
Really? I still think it was pretty all right. The only song I think
Uh,
was bad so far was the I Will Marry You.
yeah, I don't think that one was very good. This album is actually not bad though. I was expecting something a lot worse. Now, speaking of Chester Bennington and Linkin Park, I don't know if you guys read the news, but Linkin Park is working on new material now without Chester Bennington.
I don't know who. Are they even going to replace him? I don't know.
I don't know all the specifics of that. I just read that headline and I just figured like maybe you would have some opinions on it.
I don't know. Like, the article I was reading hasn't said that they have replaced Chester, or they haven't. I don't know. I guess maybe Mike Shinoda will just take over because I mean
Maybe, I
he's a good
guess.
rapper. He's a decent vocalist. I
Now that
guess.
I'm listening to this song, now that I'm listening to this album a bit more closely, is every song about Sonny Bono either being a cuck or getting cucked?
I just sit there while my girlfriend gets fucked. I told my girl to go away because she's getting fucked. I would marry you today because I want to fuck her myself. My best friend's girl's out of sight
Again,
because she won't fuck
he
me.
did meet Cher when she was just 16.
Damn.
That kind of puts some shit into perspective now, I think.
Fuck Cher.
Well, I mean,
I
someone
hate
had
Cher.
to. Someone had to. I even
God,
think
this
the
is
vocal.
actually really good.
Yeah, like I
I don't
don't
know
think I'm
much.
willing to give this any higher than a 5 though. This whole
Yeah,
album.
I think I'm leaning towards a 5 or a 5.5.
Okay, you have to be fucking different. You have to one up me with my trick.
I don't know. No song on this album I would say is really good except this one. It's dissonant. It's got amazing percussion.
Yeah.
I don't know whether or not I think the guitar lines in the beginning were trash or just dissonant and harsh. Because there's a
Can you look
fine
up what
line
the
between.
hell Pammy's in a bummer now means?
I don't know what it means, but I'll look it up.
Pammy's in a bummer? Wait, hold on.
Pammy's on a bummer is what it's called.
Oh, it probably just means like she's depressed. It's just old fashioned folk slang for depressed.
Yeah, maybe.
I like read that close and I'm like, oh, that's obviously what that means.
It would make sense because this, like I said, the song's very harsh and dissonant. Is this how the
Yeah.
album ends? Really?
Yep.
That's it?
That's it. And then
Wow.
there's a bunch of other songs that are on the revision that aren't really worth. I
So
assume not worth talking about it, but I don't know.
let me go through it. So I Just Sit There was actually pretty interesting instrumentally, at least more so than I expected. I don't know if I'd put it on the same like level
I
as
would.
the Beatles or Dream Theater, but
I
it's
think that's
it was
okay.
still better than I expected. The harmonica was terrible. All of the harmonica solos were very, very bad. The lyrics, the vocals, absolute dog shit. If we were basing the album on that song alone, it'd be 4 out of 10, maybe a 3 out of 10. But as soon as I told my girl to go away came in and I started laughing and having fun with it, even though it is stupid and bad, I started enjoying it a little bit more. And then I Would Marry You Today was terrible. It's the only song on the album I'd say is actually just bad. Absolutely terrible. And then My Best Friend's Girl Is Out of Sight. I don't remember that one as much, even though we just heard it. But it still had some pretty decent instrumentation. Pammy's on a Bummer blew everything away. I was actually really surprised by how good that was. So I think I am going to go 5.5 out of 10 for my rating because, like I said, there are parts of the album that are just really bad, but as a whole, there's nothing on here I find unlistenable. And as a whole, it's a little bit above average. Not enough for a 6, but probably close. So 5.5.
This album has been an extreme emotional roller coaster for me.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's a good thing or not. Like, I just sit there, I think it's just straight up terrible. And I think that's how most people would probably rate this album. I think most people are like me at first, just didn't get past that first track, and that's totally understandable because it's terrible. The mixing is terrible, the vocals are terrible, even for
The
Sonny
mixing
Bono
is pretty bad.
standards. The harmonica is just laughably, blaringly loud.
Meh, 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 meh. I think that was literally one of the harmonica solos.
Yeah. I don't really know. I don't know if I should say I'm undecided or not. I feel like I should say something because I don't know if this album is average or slightly above average. You know what? I think if it was average, that would be a sign that I would not want to listen to it again. And I would listen to this again.
Especially since it's so short.
Yeah.
Mercifully so.
I'm going to have to say a 6 out of 10, actually. Just
Always
so I can one-up you.
0.5 up me.
Yeah. I'm using your trick that you used against me to use against you, motherfucker.
I should have gone second. Then I could have gone 6.5.
And I would have gone 7.
We rank it back up to a perfect album.
This is better than the Beatles, ladies and gentlemen. Beethoven, Mozart, Bach, Jimi Hendrix all should be shaking in their boots.
Yeah. Gojira, who's Lojira? Who's Fojira? Sonny Bono's the only artist I care about.
You know the problem with Gojira and why they suck, right?
Lean Theater? Who cares about them?
You know the reason that Gojira sucks, though, right? They're European.
They're
so
French.
They care about the environment.
Stupid French.
Okay, for those who don't get that joke, on an earlier episode of the podcast, we were reading a Pitchfork review, which has kind of become a tradition. And we read, they were saying, like, they said something along the lines of, like, of course they care about the environment. They're French, aren't they?
It was something like they're French, so of course they care about the environment. And this album is chock full of environmental messages. I'm like, what?
What? Man, them Frenchy French, man, all they know is surrender and, bonjour or whatever.
And recycling.
Hulala or whatever.
Oh, yeah, you want to show people this floppy disk shit?
The Floppatron, yes.
The Floppatron 9000?
Yeah,
It's over 9,000!
All right.
Talk about dead memes that will just never go away. Hi.
Maya.
Wow, you just leave it. Yes, I've seen this before.
It's really impressive.
It sounds like shit, though.
I would not mind incorporating this into, like, an album.
Yeah.
at least as percussion, maybe.
Yeah, that could be cool.
So,
you know what it just sounds like, though, that you could probably replace it with in an album format? MIDI.
Yeah, kind of, actually. And that's really impressive that they can... So, basically what they did, if you can see here, what they did is, let me get to... There we go. They have a whole bunch of floppy disk drives all connected to each other, all with floppy disks inside. And those floppy disks,
Are floppy?
I guess they have sectors in them or just programming in general in them
Oh, wow. They have programming in them.
that can manipulate the
What funk.
motor. Well, I think it has to do with the sectors, because that's, I think, how a floppy disk is read. Is it like reads the number of sectors on the disk, and
I'm just
that's
making
how.
fun of you because I have no fucking idea how to add to this discussion. I know nothing about floppy
Yeah.
disks.
So that's basically how that works, and it like manipulates the motor somehow so that you can do. Come on, let's get to the cool Wayne's World part. That's really impressive, right? Fuck. That was not nearly as effective because I had to take my headphones off. Right. So that was a note to end on.
Literally.
Yeah. All right. Anything final to say before we end?
No. Except for that Sonny Bono album gave me a Sonny Boner.
Bye.